to kind of get us started, we did a survey, and I'm going to take you through that. But it's like the politicians are always telling you that a survey in an election is a snapshot in time. Very true here. I suspect possibly some things have changed already now by the end of the week. And if we do it a month from now, I expect things will be changed again. But anyway, at least at the beginning of the week, this is where we were. First, let's start with what kind of firms participated in our survey. We primarily targeted toward plaintiffs. We just felt like the issues of full service firms and defense firms were different. So we particularly targeted our invitations to plaintiffs firms. So you might notice over here, there's 19% that are other. Like, what is that? Actually, every single one of those we went and looked was a Social Security disability firm. So those are pretty, we could call those plaintiffs also. So pretty much every firm here is representing individuals, not corporations. We had a nice diversity of states, 31 in total, a little spike from Texas, but overall I think we're kind of spread out throughout the country. What age, our list was primarily principals and management, maybe in charge of marketing growth for the firm. So it makes sense to me. We're skewed a little bit on the middle to older side, but you know, we've got a range, as you can see. The size of your firm. So our audience today and in the survey, primarily smaller firms like 0 to 9 attorneys. The number of attorneys were in the teens, just a little bit in the 20s, and then no firms bigger than that. You know, also plaintiffs firms tend to be on the smaller size in terms of number of attorneys. But anyway, that's our audience today. And we wanted to know, what are they doing now? So as of the time of the survey, 26 of the firms were already working virtually. 46%, about half, were working partially virtually and sometimes in shifts, trying to do other things that could, you know, minimize the personal contact. However, let me show you this over here. 12% said other. When we went and looked through those, most of the time it was somebody like, we're working in the office, but we blocked the doors. We're not having contact with our clients. So we might be able to put those in the category of partially virtually. And then only about 16% were making no changes at all at this time. How do you think this virus is going to impact you, positively or negatively? 1 meant the most severe negative, 10 meant the most positive as possible. You can see, if we could consider 5 as kind of our midway point, we are skewing some toward the more negative side. But there's, interestingly, some people who think this might be a positive, including some people are like 10 out of 10, right? So when we averaged it, it came out to an average of 4.42, just slightly below the midway point. One of the reasons that might be contributing to this, there's actually 5 categories, 6 through 10 above 5 and 1 through 4 below. We decided also to round it a little bit. So there's a big difference, I think, between whether somebody said 4 slightly negative concerns versus whether they said 1, where they're, scared what. So anyway, if we group it that way, and then we said the most negative concerned people are 1 through 3, then we got about 39%. If we said modest change, little to no change, these 3 middle ones, since about 42% of the poll audience, and then the very positive 7 through 10 would be about 19%. For the short term, now in a minute we're going to talk about advertising and things like that. But other than that, are you cutting payroll just a few percent, maybe about 4%? A couple of people actually increasing payroll, I guess, to staff up. Are you cutting expenses other than payroll? A little over 20%. Increasing expenses, not too bad. 71% overwhelmingly people, at least for now, let's just wait and see how this goes. They're not anticipating cutting anything there. We asked people to name their top 3 concerns, and we decided to pool these together. So we didn't think it mattered too much whether it's 1, 2, or 3, but what categories did people name as their top 3 concerns? The number 1 was that a slowdown in the legal system itself. Secondly would be cash flow. Maybe that you make your money over the long haul, but it just may take longer to get it. You might get squeezed there. Thirdly, the client's ability to see healthcare providers. We're going to talk about that more in a minute. Number four, sick employees or the attorneys themselves. We're down to number five before, but 43% significant before there's a real concern about actual loss in revenue. Much smaller, 14%, the attorney's ability to work efficiently. Are you planning to refine your marketing message during the pandemic? 46% already said they have. And another 16% said they plan to in the future. 16% say they don't plan to make any changes, and 22% haven't made up their mind or they're still figuring out what to do. Okay, during the pandemic, in terms of your advertising, your marketing, what are you planning to do? By far, at least as of this snapshot in time, overwhelmingly 70% say steady as she goes. Those who are planning on making a change kind of split equally between increasing or decreasing. I definitely have talked to some firms where they're saying there's some opportunity here, and they're actually, running additional ads, either digital or traditional. It took us a minute to figure out what was none of the above, increase, decrease, or the same, what is left. This might be people who think they don't advertise at all, but maybe they just have a website. That's kind of what I guess those people are.